Salut pour tous et soyez les bienvenus dans le programme Planète Équitable avec NDC. We follow talking about the Conference of Parties 28 from the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which will take place between 3rd of November and 12th of December in Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates. We already talked about the political scenario, and I've been starting to talk about the technical scenario. The supervisory board is gathered right now in Bonn, finalizing the final documents to be approved by the CMA, the Conference of Parties serving the Paris Agreement, which should referend those documents, and we have a market starting in 2024. Right now, developing countries around the globe are adjusting their national determined contributions in order to approach this new climate regime. And we have, for example, right now in Brazil, in Brasilia, the federal government working on adjusting our new national determined contributions. Every tropical country should be doing this. And it's a moment that raised a lot of awareness between the population. It should raise, for example, the team that is dealing with the data right now in Brazil is the same team that manipulated the data for 30 years. So we don't have much expectation on the results, and the world should be aware of that. Right now we have an investigation, a broad investigation going on in Brazil regarding the activity of NGOs, environmental NGOs, which manipulate that data here in Brazil and collect money from international donors to their own power plants. And none of this money has ever contributed to anything on the field. So this scheme of deterring money from global climate change fights into politicians' pockets here in Brazil is something that has been occurred for 30 years. And now the national determined contributions should align with what we expect from the future on the market. So globally, we must be very aware of what's being done with the national greenhouse gas inventories on countries as Brazil, that has a large history of corruption, due to the fact that the lack of transparency on those data, the fact that they try to manipulate the data in order to generate emissions from land use change which do not occur. This can deter the fight against climate change. Brazil has a contribution to give by removing CO2 from the atmosphere and implementing a low carbon industry as all developing countries. Let's talk more about this. Let God's peace and the love that builds be our weapons on our daily struggle for justice. Aide des Annettes for tous les amis africains.